So you want to start a drone business? Well, we've got the tips to help you get started. That is coming up next. Hey everybody, David here from Aerial Influence. Today we are talking about some tips to help you get started with a drone business. So who am I to tell you how to start a drone business? Well, I'm a drone business owner. My business partner Michael and I started Aerial Influence about 7 years ago. And what is our business specifically? We sell drones. So we sell enterprise drones to like police departments, fire departments, farmers, all sorts of different industries. We also sell the consumer drones as well. So we know of which we speak. We have figured out our business model, and we want to pass some of that knowledge on to you. And by the way, if you happen to like discussions like this about drones, make sure you hit like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Now let's get started with our list. Up first is get your FAA Part 107 license. You gotta have your FAA Part 107 license if you wanna fly your drone professionally for any reason. Whether you're a service provider making money off of your drone that way, or you're just using your drone for like promotional purposes. Say you're getting some drone footage for your website, or you're making YouTube videos. You still need to have your FAA Part 107 license if it is connected to your business. So what do you gotta do to get your drone license? First, go to the FAA Drone Zone. You can Google that. I will also put a link down in the description. That's going to give you a lot of information on how to get started. Once you get that figured out, you need to get a study guide. So I would go with something like Pilot Institute. That is a really great resource. Also, Remote Pilot 101 is another one. These are study resources. They have lessons and they have like practice quizzes and tests. Great resources to prepare you for your FAA Part 107 test. Once you take your test and you pass, and it's not really that hard. It's like a driver's license test. You do need to study, you do need to learn the airspace, but it really is not that difficult. But once you pass, you are a licensed drone pilot, free to make money with your drone. Next up is know your business. You got to do a lot of research. Are you wanting to work in agriculture? Do you want to do search and rescue? Do you want to do surveying? Do you want to do inspections? That's all stuff you got to figure out, and you got to research them. What I would suggest is going to YouTube. What I would suggest is going to Google and doing that research. If you want to work in agriculture, search for drones in agriculture. You're probably going to find a bunch of our videos in there as well. If you want to work in surveying, you say drones for surveying. Maybe you live in an area where there are a lot of solar panels. Then you would want to look for drones and solar panels. So you got to go out, you got to do this research, you got to do your due diligence before you get started. Next up, you got to figure out what your business model is going to be. How are you going to make money using your drone? Are you going to be a service provider, somebody that gets paid to just go out and do drone work? Maybe having your drone license is actually going to help you get that next job. It's a company that happens to need somebody that has their drone license. That's how you're going to make money using your drone. Maybe you're out there and you're really talented with cinematography and you're going to sell footage using your drone. There are a whole bunch of different ways to use drones. You just got to figure out how you're going to use it to make money. Next up is know your budget and stick to it. So if your budget is $6,500, you're only going to be able to afford a certain level of drone. The dealer might try to talk you up to the higher level, but it might not be something you need and is definitely not something you can afford. So don't fall for it. Know what your budget is and stick to it. To go right along with that is you got to get the right drone for the job. So once you figure out how you want to use your drone, you got to figure out the drone that is going to be right for you and that is going to pay off for you in the end. So if you're wanting to do inspection work, likely you're going to want a thermal drone, something like the DJI Mavic 3 Thermal or the M30T or even the M350. Those are all great drones for inspection, and they all have thermal cameras and great zoom cameras as well. They all come with different features and higher price range. So the M350 is our highest priced one, and fully loaded, you're looking at $25,000, but it's waterproof. You can change the gimbals on it. It does all sorts of stuff. As you go a little lower and a little lower, you lose some of those features. If you're wanting to get into something like agriculture, you're going to want to look at drones like the DJI Mavic 3 Multispectral. It's a drone that can tell you the health of your fields before you can see it with the naked eye. It has several cameras on it, all showing you a different band of light that we can't see with our naked eyes, but it's going to tell you the health of your crops before you can see it with your naked eye. So pick the right drone for the job. Don't buy a drone and then try to figure out what the job is going to be, because you could end up with a drone that you don't need. Next up is get insured. Don't be silly. You want to make sure that you're taken care of. You want to use a company like Skywatch, who gives you the option of paying monthly, or you can even pay by the hour. So you can literally say, I'm going to fly at 1 o'clock today, and it'll give you an hour or two of insurance. It gives you liability insurance and hull insurance. So Skywatch is a good one. We're not affiliated with them or anything, but we actually do use them. The other option is something like Farmers Insurance. I've heard from a lot of people that they've got a great drone insurance program. I think it's something you can add on to like your homeowner's insurance. So Farmers Insurance is another option for you. Again, we're not affiliated with them. It's something we heard and it might be a good option for you. Next up is build your network. Get on social media, join these different groups, talk to people, get ideas, and start some relationships. The next thing you know, you're out flying with somebody you met on social media, then that leads to somebody else, then that leads to somebody else. Suddenly you've got this nice network of drone flyers that you can count on, that you can rely on each other. So build that network up. You obviously want to have a good relationship with people in your profession, but you also got to build up that client base. And that's our next tip, is you just got to grind it out. I don't care if you have to go door to door to try to get some business, but that is what you got to do. You got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You got to be able to approach people. And then once you get that first job, you got to be professional. That's our next tip. Be professional. Show up on time. Show up ready to work. Make sure your drone is updated. Make sure everything is ready to go before you get there, and dress for the job. You know, my dad always used to say that you dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. So make sure you're dressing up. Don't just show up in jeans and a t-shirt. Show up dressed nicely, act nice, and be ready to go. Next up is show your work. So after you get these jobs, make sure you're going out on YouTube. Make sure you're going out on TikTok. Make sure you're posting on Facebook. Make sure that people are seeing the work you're doing. That is how it's going to lead to more work. I know that firsthand. We have used YouTube over the years to build up our clientele, and it has been very effective for us. So make sure you're on social media showing your work. If people don't see your work, it didn't exist, right? So you got to make sure that people are seeing the work you're doing if you want to get more jobs. Finally, you got to be patient. You might have to work another job and just do drones on the side for a while. Eventually, you're going to build up that clientele and you're going to be working full-time in drones. So that's all we have for today. I hope this list was helpful. Let me know what you think. What are the other things that I missed here today? What are the other tips that you would give other drone pilots? I know there are a lot of drone pilots watching this right now. So what tips would you give to new drone pilots? You know, one other thing I wanted to say is that while we do sell these big, expensive enterprise drones, that doesn't mean you have to. If you're trying to do work that doesn't require you to have a thermal drone, go out and get a Mavic 3, get a Mini 4, or get an Air 3. A lot of people are using consumer drones to make money right now. So don't think you got to go out and spend $6,000 or $12,000 or $25,000 on a drone to get started. You could get started with something as small as a Mini 4. So get out there and start your drone business. What are you waiting for? We appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you next time.